Welcome to Discovering. It's that time of year when you can do it all. Upland game birds, waterfowl, deer, bear, and it's not too late to go fishing.
Walleyes are just cruising the bottom, trying to pop them gobies up so they can get a crack at them.
Then, something amazing. Sit back and relax. It's Monday night and time for Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Changes in color, changes in temperature, or maybe it's just something wired directly into our internal clocks. I'm not sure what it is, but at this time of year, something tells us it's time to hunt. And hunt we will, but by no means does that mean fishing is over. Fall is certainly one of the best times to hit the water. I hopped in a boat with Ken and Bill Marklein for a bit of both. We hit the waters of Lake Michigan to hunt for walleyes.
What we're trying to do here is we're working on a break out here where we're coming from 30, 40, 50 feet onto a break where it's going to break off to 25, 30 feet and then 40 feet towards the outside edge. We're zigzagging across the break. You can see the track from previous trips where the top of the break was. And we're just riding around looking for fish with our electronics. We have two sets of electronics here, two different brands. They're basically equal. The only difference is I have this one set on 83 kilohertz and this one on 200. The 83 will mark a lot better and a lot of everything, where the 200 kilohertz I can zoom right in and tell if it's a walleye or if it's some other fish by the way it's marked on the 200. So we just marked a few fish back a ways, see if we can't find another one here or two. Okay, now there's a fish marked at 200. There's two fish there. You'll see them at the 200. There's two fish on here. We'll get back and we'll slide in on those fish and try to catch them. Yeah, that's nice. They're right on top of that hump there. You should be able to catch those. They're feeding on gobies out here in this deep water.
I guess why we're trying to dial in on a few fish and kind of show you the presentation. This is shiver minnows, the way we're going to be, or the lures we're going to be using. It's kind of a relatively unknown open water lure. It's always been developed for ice fishing right out of, I believe, Escanaba or Perkins, Michigan by Moonshine Lures. So these are meant to imitate like the goby bite. And the gobies, they come down and they plug at the bottom. The walleye just cruise by and scoop them up. So that's what we do is these are called glide baits. So you give them a twitch and they glide up off the bottom and slam back down on the slack line. And that slack line is very important. And if walleye hits it, you very rarely actually feel it hit. It's just you lift it up to glide and one will be on there. Nice thing about this is you don't need a lot of money to do this. If you have a way to just get out onto these shoals and these rock humps, it's just a regular medium action rod, 12-pound line, and a 12 to 20-pound fluorocarbon leader attached to, like I say, a shiver minnow. Rapala Rip and Wraps are popular. This has been a pretty successful bait for us. It takes a few tries to get the technique down, but once you get it, it's very addicting. We were both always trollers. That's all we wanted to do was troll. It was easy. We were good at it. And now we've started doing this. And I would say out of the 4 tournaments we fished together this summer, 60 to 80% of it was just with one hand and a rod, and no planer boards, no trolling rods. So it's been pretty fun. This is the shell bell color. Several of the colors work. It really, some days color matters, some days it doesn't. This one here is this one has an aftermarket hook. These are Mustad triple grips. They're a little bit larger hook, and they got a short shank so they don't grab as much algae off the bottom. Not expecting to deal with that very much tonight with this deeper water, so we'll give it a shot. So what we're doing right now is we're looking for the fish that we'd previously marked. And like I say, trolling is a good way to patrol an area, to learn new water and see which fish might be aggressive in an area. This is an area we know. We know that there are fish here, and there have been, so we're more or less hunting for them. We're targeting them with the electronics. We're not just going after a group of fish, we're actually fishing for individual fish. And we like to see 2 or 3 together. A lot of times they'll be more aggressive if there's a few together, but sometimes you can pull just one by itself. But that's what we're looking on the electronics religiously doing this technique. And you really try to dial in the boat control with the way the wind is going to drift the boat. There's sometimes a current that'll move your line different than you expect it to. So it's definitely a finesse technique. It takes a little bit to get used to, but once you get it figured out, it's fun having hand-to-hand combat with these fish. This might have been our mark. Here's what they're feeding on. That's a goby. Typically, if you're getting goby, it means that you're going to be in the right area. That's their main source of food right now. They're an invasive species. You'll find these just about anywhere in the bay. We've gone on the east shore, and they'll get about double that size.
I'm no scientist or no expert, but I've always been told that the goby does not have an air bladder, and it lives its entire life within 10 inches of the bottom. They never come up for any other reason, so they stay right glued to the bottom, and they're bottom feeders. So generally, whenever you're fishing walleye and you're trying to get on the goby bite, you're keeping your baits right on the bottom, along with the, that's where their feed is. That's why a lot of these marks you'll see will be right on the bottom, because those walleyes are just cruising on the bottom, trying to pop them gobies up so they can get them up off the bottom so they can get a crack at them. Goby, double goby, one of each size. So there's plenty of food here. You're trying to outfish, a lot of natural bait for these fish, but something different comes through, something purple, something pink, whatever, something different comes through, and they'll take a swing at it. There's a mark of a good fish right on the bottom now. You can see the break on the Lowrance unit. Try and see if we can't rustle that thing up.
I guess that was overdue for the amount of cast. Well, that's about the smallest walleye you'll find in Bay of Green Bay. But rules are rules. Snagged fish is a released fish. Come on, quick. Sheephead. After all that, wrong species. Yeah. Sheephead, they fight like similar to a smallmouth, and usually you'd like to give a fish credit for being a sheephead. Once you hook into it, you'd like to think they're all sheephead, but these walleye like this, they fight so hard when you're 20 feet away from them that you treat them all like a walleye. But sometimes you get the disappointment, and sometimes you bring them up assuming it's a sheephead and it'll be a nice walleye. Well, might just be a big goby. Yep. False alarm. Yeah, these goby aren't just snags. They're actually targeting the lures. They're a very aggressive fish. And if you'd think just hanging a leech off the edge of the boat while you're doing this would be just so easy and it would be a bonus line, but these things will devour it before walleye ever gets a chance to see it. So this mid to late summer, early fall, when the water warms up, that's when everybody's using these shiver minnows and other style of glide baits. But early spring, some people have good luck. My dad's very good at using them earlier in the year. I personally need a bait that's a little bit more clunky. It's more of a beginner's bait, but it's a very high success bait, and it's easy to cast. If you want to take out a kid or yourself or your wife or somebody that's not very accustomed to this kind of walleye fishing, basically it's bass fishing on open water. You're a little bit blind. You're not targeting structure and trees, things you can see. So you want something that makes a lot of noise in case you're not hitting casts right where you think they're going, or you might cast and be 10 feet away from a rock that you think you were aiming for. So a bait like this is called Rapala Rip and Wrap. And as you can hear, he's got a lot of noise in them. So these are really good for aggressive fish. They're fun to throw in the spring especially. It's probably one of the first baits we go to right away early in the year. And when we're doing this on the Bay of Green Bay, one good twitch of this, and then when you get hit, odds are good it's a 7-pound plus walleye. And I mean, bass fishing's been fun and we grew up doing it, but a 7 to 10 pound walleye on a medium action rod is a lot of fun too. And these are very affordable baits. They're easy to use. Like I say, the noise is mainly the attraction. We flop around a lot of different colors based on overcast days, water clarity, but a lot of times it's if they want it, they'll go get it. Color isn't as important.
Ready? Holy good God, there we go.
There goes all my conversation about hooking into 7-pounders. Well, it's just getting to be dark. It looks like they're gonna finally feed here a little bit, so we might put the casting rods away and do a little trolling here and cover some water and see if we can find some more of the aggressive ones.
These are telescoping planer board rods, which mean they're heavy action. Line counter reel. Whenever we run crankbaits, Bill and I will run the braid. If we have more than 75 feet of line out for crankbaits, we'll always run braid. You can feel the bait better, and it's a lot better as far as the action of lure, and it cuts through the water better. We still have our fluorocarbon leader on the bait. And then we have a heavy swivel up on top. And this heavy swivel will catch stuff when you got floating weeds and stuff when you're trolling. It'll hang up on that swivel and it won't come down and follow your bait. So we'll turn a couple of these bad boys loose and see what we can do. Get out to the beginning of the run here. We're going to be running 800 reef runners tonight. They typically, what we're going to try and get down, like I mentioned earlier, that these gobies are right tight to the bottom. We're going to try and get down, get our baits within a foot or two of the bottom, and see if we can get a few of these fish to go. We'll be running long leads off planer boards, running 110-foot leads, putting that bait down around 29, 30 feet. We're not going to run a real wide spread here because we're fishing a relatively small piece of structure.
Here comes the board. 15.
I got him. Lift.
Not gonna break any records, guys.
Good eater.
Another healthy one. That's good for the state of the fishery. Little trick to get some nice white fillets.
They're gone. as I was saying earlier, we got the braid here. Now 110 feet out, I can feel that bait jiggling, and I know that bait's running clean with no weeds and no foul, nothing fouled. And that's the beauty of the braid, is there's no stretch, and you can really run your baits. And with the mono, there's so much stretch that you couldn't do that.
Straight under the boat. Certainly in an 8 class tonight.
Certainly want that black bait.
Who wants 30 inches anyway? They're not hitting hard at all.
Very seldom when they hit a planer board, they're usually hooked up pretty good. They're even hitting like tonight where they're swinging and missing a couple pops.
I think we got a double on.
Oh, get that right out of the way like that. Still there?
I think so.
All right, let's go up this other one then.
There he is.
Watch that trigger. Cat dog. And there, that's how light they're biting. And falling off right in the net. Having a hard time even keeping them hooked up tonight, which is kind of goes with the cold front that we're trying to fish between 2 storms and a cold front, which has really got the bite tough.
Up on the surface.
A little better one. Cat dog. Fighting two weather patterns here. We got in between the 2 weather patterns. One came through last night, dumped about almost an inch of rain on us, and then there's another one coming where there's small craft warnings listed for 4 in the morning. So it's starting to get a little bumpy out here. We're gonna head it in. We scratched out a nice batch of fish. A little smaller run than we have been getting, but by God, any day you're out fishing is a good day. I learned that from my good friend Dave Anderson, rest his soul. Okie dokie. Good eater.
Looking for something to do with the kids? You might want to check out a corn maze.
Well, our corn maze is 7 acres and we have posts hit out there, 6 different colors. This year so far, people have been finding 5 and the 6th one's been a challenge, but that's what we hope for. It can take you as long as you want. Some people go through 20 minutes, some people spend 2 hours out there. Yeah, and our corn maze is pretty much on a nice sloped hill. You could walk out here with your tennies on and you're not gonna get muddy. We have a nice hayride right now. It goes back through the woods. Colors are just about peak. It's about a 20-minute ride. People really enjoy it. They just sit down, have a hot chocolate, hot apple cider, and take a ride through the woods. Stop at the pumpkin patch on the way back and pick out a pumpkin if they would like. And our pumpkins range $2 to $5, so we try to keep prices down so people can come and enjoy the maze. We have 2 baby calves. They're about 3 days old, so they're little. If you're here at the right time, we bottle feed them. We usually let kids come in and bottle feed them if they wish. We have some pigs.
Oh, hi piggies. Hi piggies. Here's your piggies.
Yeah, a couple goats, a little bit of all. The horses are walking around in the pastures, so when you go on a hayride, you drive right by the horses. We do have some large cattle too that are pretty near the hayride ride. You'll see them when you drive by. We do have a very nice building. If the wind does get bad or the rain starts, we have a full concession and a big building you can go into and hang out and wait for the weather to change. I guess all farmers are trying to make a little extra, so they're getting into the tourism part of it to try to make a little bit of extra money when the times are slow or hard. Our farm has been around we know it's over 100 years. We're thinking it's about 113. I'm the third generation. My dad farmed before me and his father farmed before started. They farmed about 100 acres. And my dad farmed around 500, now we're up to around 900. And my parents and his parents, they had a working dairy farm here. We bought it, milked cows for a little while, and decided to get out of the milking part and go into the cash cropping. Gives a little more time for the family and a little extra time to do the corn maze. We've only been open for 9 years, but the farm's been around for over 100 years. We are a cash crop grain farm. We farm right around 900 acres. We grow corn, soybean, alfalfa, and wheat and oats. We do sell a lot of deer hay too. We bale up deer hay and sell it throughout the winter for supplemental feed. Every year we open around the middle of September, go till the end of October, sometimes Halloween. It depends on how many people ask us about it. Otherwise, we're just open on the weekends. We get a lot of schools during the week. We usually do open up for groups over 20 during the week. We usually give a group rate. They keep coming, and we like it. It's nice when people come and they say how nice and clean your place is and how courteous your staff is. And, we try to do the best we can, but it's always nice to get a thank you. And yeah, the school kids, when they come, really makes the year because they have a blast. The slide, the farm animals, they love the hayride, and they love to run through the maze.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.